Okay, the making of for the next one. Starship Locations Legacy. We're going to have a 10th episode season finale, basically. Again, similar to the other two. The Rumbly story was we had the Brazil trip, and then you had Valentine's Day. So this one is the Q and them realize that Coddle has returned, threatening the galaxy. He's been doing it for months, apparently. And in this story, this is a new one. So this is a new making of for this one. And there's not going to be much making of, just because there's no script. I'm just going to do it ad-libbed like we did the other ones. I tried to do an outline, and it was funny and goofy, but I think that this one would do better from just because there's nothing going on. Is just do the whole thing, put the pieces together. I have lots of ideas left over, and I don't want to do a Vanguard's movie 4. I would rather just do Legacy, another Legacy episode, in which things can happen that are weird because things happen because Q and Q's demigods, aliens, messing with the universe, and it's around Easter time. So in this story, it's around Easter time as well. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. It'll be kind of like a convention, kind of like the Q episode. We've done these before, and it's all going to be. Yeah, just the characters ad-libbing and meeting each other as if they could meet each other because from their perspective, they're all actors on some kind of Star Trek, and it's 2025. So even if the other stories take place in the distant future, it's only they're literally the cast of a show that's aware that they're self-aware that they're in a show, which is very meta, and they have to stop the bad guy who has taken over the present. So cool. Sure, why not? I redressed the sets to reflect that. There's a couple of ship sets, including the old Legacy set, which we're going to retire some of the parts of that Legacy set. It is falling apart. So this is the last time you will see that goofy, hard to shoot out Legacy set from the walls. This is it. It's falling apart. Yeah, we're gonna redo that and make it look better because we can. Because executive producers, I don't mind whatever you do. Just we know you're not spending a lot of money on it. It's real cheap, so keep going. So we're all cool. Yeah, I don't care. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm gonna do. So this is Calicat, the Calicatster, and this is the making of. It's real short, the making of this episode that we did today. Just in a full day, we did filming. There were only 2 hours of someone having music in the park, and then that stopped. It was toward the evening, and then we finished it. So it's about 8:30. Yeah, it was a full day, and we were able to finish it, do the whole ad-libbed episode, the ad-libbed special episode thing. Ships from various time periods. Going back to 2025 because the Q is messing with them. We've done that kind of thing before, so we just did it again. But it was different. We had a little bit of a spin on it. It had our Vanguard people meeting the Canary Space people, but really the Canary Space people being the ineffectual ones because really the story was about the Vanguard people, so they had more of a say in the story. It's about them. It's just about adding them to it, basically. It's like a convention where they introduce a new Star Trek crew, and they're like, "Oh, here's your Ready Room thing." It's a little more creative than the Ready Room, a little different. Wesley's not in this one though, which is interesting. There's a lot of people that aren't in this one. That's it. Q, Cat, and Q cards at the end, which is funny. Cat and cards playing Q, yeah, as a Q. So we have that. And we're presuming that it's the Q from the 90s because it's a 90s looking Q. But yeah, they fixed the timeline. Yeah, it's just a fun episode story. There's a legacy ship from 2413 and another from 2465, a little bit later, when Kester is a captain or possibly an early admiral, and it gets. And then of course the 2480 ships show up, versions of them, and they don't really explain where the Cassin ship at the end of the other story ended up, but you don't have to, because Q is presumably still screwing with him, and they got on another ship. That's fine. Vanguard and and then we have a scene at the end where we cribbed from a PL episode story, the Shades of Pink scene, and also from the novel we'll never get to, the second half, the end of season 2 of Starcracker, Space Vanguard Starcrackers. In the book form, you can see it. Or Clark and Raxler have apparently had sex, and they've done it, and that they've done it on the bridge of the ship apparently, which has been one of the damaged bridges from the and they're caught by everybody. That combination of crew from mainly the Vanguard, but some other people that have come on help them out. So you have it is the final cruise of her command on the ship, their command. That is the Star Trek 6 line earlier was fine. So you have, this is a very short making of, because there isn't much to say on the making of. It was pretty much an ad-lib thing. It was pretty much a convention, goofy thing. The sanctuary planet turns out to be Pine Hill, which has been renovated, around the edges has been renovated. It doesn't even look like it anymore. So they've built up around it. So the timeline has changed. And the evil Mendrick Cottle and the other guy are clearly a thinly veiled nod to a certain president and his sycophant assistants. But we have done it in such a way that it could be someone else, and it's not explicitly said. So I don't think YouTube will slap or delete the video. They shouldn't. It's not. In their timeline, the Musk has apparently shot himself through space, out in space, or a rocket ship at some point, and he didn't return because he's not a Sillian. They play with that Sillian life and death thing, and resurrection thing, because it is Easter. So, but indirectly, and we also bring back the sister, Mammy, or whatever, so everybody comes back, and we find out that the mother is the other person. We find out a curiosity. We find out that Jack Crusher is the third child of Crusher, Picard, Crusher, and that there's a pair of twins that were born earlier that represent the character of Ariana Foster in the story, and from the story, and the Vanguard Colonel. But then there's a third one who is slightly older. That's Beth Cassin. So who's that? That's kind of confusing. And then there's the other ones. Just to confuse you even more. They're not directly anagrams of the real people. There's no Fillettes. That's a made up name. They're not anagrams of real people. And it's not exactly that okay, the Ariana Foster is this person, or MC Kim is that person, and MC Kim is Miriam, of course. Kim's like Miriam, and her twin daughters, or is it this other person instead? I'm guessing that the older one is just simply one of the aunts, or just an older sibling. That they also imply that Beckett Mariner and Joan knew each other, but they don't say what. They don't quite say what. Hey, Joan. But in the other timelines, and because Silly Trek, like all these modern Star Trek shows, takes place in the current time period, even though they jump ahead hundreds of years or jump back hundreds of years, whatever, they're all the actors in the story now. So they can show up and walk into each other's lives immediately now, because it's 2025 in April to them. And they can just, I'm from 2488, but not really. I'm really from 2025. Or, well, I'm from 25 something. Or I'm from 2413, but really I'm not. I'm from 2025. I'm Q from 2025. So yeah, so it's fine. It works. It a fine little ad lib kind of thing. Not taking it all seriously. I know that the other versions that it's loosely based on. There's the Council of Geeks rant about the politics. There's the Steve Shives rant about politics. There are several. There's a Jesse Gender one too. But we didn't want to go into those actual screed and rants because they wanted to do that. Instead, this sort of makes fun of the whole thing and the rant idea. You know, Mark's Cards totally would be into doing a full-on rant thing. But we don't want to do that because real life is not funny. So we're not going to do an actual rant screed about politics. It's going to be a spoof. We're going to have a villain who's spoofy and silly, and then that villain is defeated. Because that's what people want to see. Not the villain winning. The villain's defeated. Yeah, and there's certainly going to be other, it's not like our end series. I'm sure there will be an after show thing beyond this of just Galacat shooting the breeze about the whole this season so far of Legacy and this season of Canary Space and Vanguards later in a week or so or something. But yeah, we got to do that. We still have to post-production, put those stories together, put them out, and then we have an after show, right? Yeah, sure. So we got to put them together and then you have an after show. Then you have product, even though we're not making any profit. We're just putting them up there for fun. So this is behind the scenes making of this story. It's very short making of. So yeah, because it was easy. There was no script to follow. We just needed to make sure they were all in focus. Everybody was, and the camera. They're looking at the camera. You don't need to read a script because you're looking into the camera. You're just ad libbing, and sometimes that works. And I think it did. So that's all she wrote. That's pretty much the. I know that it's only April. So there certainly could be more stories later on. We were finishing up this block of stories that we've been doing since December. Well, late October, early December. Yeah, late October, early December. We've been doing them since December. And yeah, so this series, Legacy, and you'll note that the titles just list the main Sillian people in the title. The main people. Calicat, MC Kim, Cowpoke, Silly Kelly, that kind of thing. And it doesn't really go into too much detail. And you can kind of tell who the bad guy is. It's Werewolf Fuzzy Face. He's just playing the bad guy. I get to play the bad guy. Again. Yeah. But yes, he likes playing that character. We have the Shatner guy back. Yeah. So we're here on Vanguard's Advanced Guard. Post-production, putting the movie post-production stuff together. This is a scene pickup that you're going to do. Yes, the Gretchen Hagen or Gretchen Reuter character. He says Reuter is her name. Was Hagen Reuter together, but that doesn't make any sense. So Reuter is her name. Is introduced with a thick German accent on, I believe, the first minute of dialogue, and then when she's seen again, she has a Tommy Wiseau voice. About 2 minutes later, in another scene. But then for the rest of the movie, she sounds completely like she's American. So my advice on those 2 or 3 lines that she has, where she has a German accent and a Tommy Wiseau voice, there's just 2 or 3 little lines. It's not even a minute of dialogue. It's not even 30 seconds. But it is jarring. So the suggestion for that on the end of the making of this thing during post-production here, on the 3rd movie, that it's in training day, a training mission or whatever, training days or missions or whatever that. Yeah, it's in that one. They're on the planet. Just take the German accent out. Just have her speak American, because for the rest of it, when they talk to her, she talks to them. She just has a regular accent. No accent. I think what happened is I caught that cold in the middle of this episode, right in the beginning of it, and then couldn't do an accent anymore for the rest of the but that's the only jarring thing. The rest of it is so far looking good. So yeah, just thought I would add that. So there's a little bit of making of, a little bit of continuation on Space Vanguard. This is the final hour of the movie, of the third movie, believe it or not. And yeah, we just did the half hour that is this training episode, which was 40 minutes, but when you condense it down to it's 32 minutes. So it's up to 90 minutes at this point. The next episodes would be Cult of Oddities, which is quite short, and Send Off in the finale. And you almost could stop with Send Off, but you wanted to include the other one in there from book 2 for some reason. I guess it had something to do with it having a better ending, because it is Send Off Part 2 basically, and that makes sense. So do include that, but yeah, don't do any of book 2 after that. Stop with Vanguard Reunites, have it end there. The characters come to a certain point, a certain arc, everything works out. It's funny that Elarat Brack has shown up in 3 different episodes during 3 different movies at this point. You have a couple of movie 2 and 3 bits to mess with. Movie 3 bits to mess with. Some audio pickups there. Here on the making of the third movie. And yeah, so yeah, you kind of do need to fix those. So yeah, go back and fix those. Go back to the first hour, fix that. Do this on the third hour with this. Yeah. Okay, this is making of. Add to the making of Vanguard Space Volume 3. Just wanted to add something more. There were some audio pickups from the middle act. There weren't any needed in this one. There were plenty of rewrites. This is I'm making a rough cut of the 41 remaining minutes of the movie. So that'll be a little over 2 hours and 10 minutes. And yeah, we have not seen Thunderbolts, so I'm going to go and see Thunderbolts. and then edit the whole thing together tomorrow after that. But yes, but here we are at the apex of the final story. It took 6 hours to go through 6 hours to whittle it down to 40 minutes. It's done. I decided that I'm not even going to do the second pass version, third pass version. I'm just rendering it right now. Just say this thing is there. You can do the second pass chop snippets later. It is different from the other one. There were 2 scenes that were omitted that did not need to be in the story. I did keep the Sarah scene at the end. There were scenes involving. There were 2 extra post-credit scenes involving the Q showing up and other stuff that made no sense being in there, and so I took that out because they were related to that, and they were in the. They're going to be in the special episode that followed anyway. That was the 4th Legacy episode. It's in there anyway as a teaser. It's supposed to be Legacy. I don't know why I included it in this. It doesn't make any sense to have it in this because it ends perfectly the way it is, with them theorizing the sphere data is stolen, whatever, in the crew, and they're the Zuri made copies. I'm sure they did. The 3 movies is fine for this series. It doesn't have to be 4. It had to be 4 with Canary Space because there was just so much Canary Space in that story. But here, 3 is fine. It comes to a conclusion. It's a satisfying ending. It's about 40 minutes extra ending just to have a little bit of book 2's funky little episode in here for about 30 minutes of it, just because it's an ending. It's an ending that works. It's the ending, and you've changed it by switching some of the villains and heroes around, by having Curran die earlier in the Stronghold blow up earlier. You basically have the end for instead of being Curran that helps save the ship at the end, kind of like Picard season 1, which is weird because we wrote this 30 years ago. Instead of that, it had nothing to do with Picard. It really didn't. It had nothing to do with Voyager either. There are some references to DS9 because that had started, but yeah, it was before the Dominion War. So yeah, so this segment Yeah. It changed it. So the last battle where he gets help from the fleet, he gets it from Raxler. So we can close the story of Raxler. Do a scene that would have happened later on, much later in the other timeline. This is a different timeline than the Vanguard's space timeline. It's different because Raxler has killed off 3 of the enemies that would have led to Rebel Ship and Prospectors and other spin-offs. So he killed them. And other guys killed them. And then one of the other ones from Prospectors died on the planet during the fight scene. The Darwin Thompson character dies. So it's like, oh shit. And Madman, who goes on to be the first officer lady in the other story, she dies in this. So they it's a little bit changed so that they get cacked, so they can't be the other people in the other story. Yeah, they're gone. And at the end of the story, it's like they let the Zuri beat the bad guy. So it's like that. They probably get drummed out of the fleet at that point. They let they just kill the bad guy. Yeah, they're not very competent. They don't win the story. It's that the bad guy in the story wins, is inept and kills the one person that could defeat them all. The lady, the commander lady. Petty. So he does it to himself. If he hadn't killed her, probably would have been able to take the sphere and get away. But he freaks out because they were going to go into the sun. And Numissi. Also, Numissi and Latori, in Prospectors and Judgments and then Prospectors, are treated like a completely different other pair of planets. And in that rewrite of that story, Arbiter. And it doesn't work there anyway. So we're not going there anyway. It doesn't work now that I think about it. It really doesn't, because it's really the Starship Locations story to begin with. It really does fit with Star Trek better. So, not going there. I also, So this story does come to a conclusion. Everybody's hero and villain comes to an end, a closure. Everybody's kind of either there or not. And we have we cut to the Raxler story at the end of their version of the millennium, their end of the century, where Raxler is going to profess his love to Clark in a sacrifice. We did that early, so that changes the timeline around. So it's not the same guy as in that other story. You kind of can tell it's not the same guy. But yes, it works. So good. So book 3, and put it together. Put 2 and 3 together at the same time. Had all special effects. I did get the what we were going to assume would be the pink tower. Not sure how to pull that off, or if that's even going to be in there. But I bought a prop. I don't want it to look like a space dildo, because YouTube will flag it. It has to look like a banister, which it is. It's a piece of stair banister. It's painted up. It isn't painted yet, but if you make it look like literally a ding dong, it's gonna think it's a ding dong and flag it. I don't want to do that. But yes, that's not really relevant to anything. The ships are all there. The models are built. The extra ships are built. Including the Stronghold and the Higashi and the other one. And I think I mentioned in one of the other things that Star Trek was also notorious for using names of people they knew or people they liked, and including it as ship names as well. The most infamous of which is the Yamaguchi from the Battle of World 359, which was mentioned, named after ice skater Christopher Yamaguchi. It absolutely was. It wasn't named after some admiral or something. No, it was named after the ice skater, Mike Okuda and those guys. They put it on the ship, just like they did with the Yamato. They put Yamato on the ship. They weren't thinking of the battleship. They were thinking of the cartoon. There was an Akira class as well. They were thinking of the cartoon. So yeah, they did that. So we did it too. The Higashi is named after a professor from Evergreen. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, so yeah, it doesn't fare well in this final 41 minutes. But none of the models actually got destroyed for real. It's going to be faked. And so eventually we'll have to do a Trek Yards like
review of the models from the Canary Space and Vanguard. This has been Space Vanguards. What a journey. So this is making of the Vanguards. Well, it's not a Vanguards episode. This is the making of that weird around Easter time. Now it's a couple of weeks after Easter. Finally got the whole thing near the end finished. This is a rough cut of the Legacy 10th episode finale of the season, and then the finale of that annoying bridge set that we designed that looked pretty on paper, but when shot, it was really, really hard to shoot because we made the background, or I made the backgrounds, so intricate. The camera would focus on the background instead of the figures, the little space, the acudograms and stuff. That's not good. We still haven't figured out a way around that. The thing, like trying to focus on the acudograms in the background. Well, we don't want to just use assets from other stuff and paste it on there like the OG bridge was. So this video is just going to be added to your list of videos. It comes out to 71 minutes long, an hour and 11 minutes. It is thankfully short. It's a cute episode. This is this is the one that's called I believe you called it Sillians Assemble. It probably, I wouldn't necessarily. Yeah, I mean the sets are struck. You could go back and put some sets up and shoot in them and do close-ups of characters talking. Wouldn't be any more action scenes though. That would be kind of interesting. Think about it. You could add. Some of it is awkward and strange, and this is a raw version with some of the retakes still in. You'll have to go through and make sure all the dialogue fits, strains all the way through. There are scenes in it that would need work if you were going to make this officially a story. It at times doesn't work in the middle of some of it. Some of the speculations don't work, and if you cut those, you would be losing even more minutes, and it would be an hour long if you cut those. So I'm kind of thinking keep everything that's in it, make it as trimlined as best you can, and then you wouldn't be putting in filler, you'd be filling plot holes at this point in the story. And it's a Q episode, so you can kind of mess around with where a plot hole would actually be. The bait and switch thing is kind of funny. Where they figure out, the bad guys figure out the future good guys attacking them, so I'll go to their past and wreck them. So they're not there. Transporter to Reviver was funny. I thought Hasloth helping out was funny. And if you don't take it as a serious story, it's just kind of a gag, like the last one kind of was, then it's fine. I'm thinking something like, now looking at it now, something like, okay, we have a lot of these other characters interacting, and we have basically the character of the, I guess they kind of reveal that the character of Cervantes, who's in it, is actually just Cristobal Rios. I think that's the gag that's going on in there. That's a little confusing, but he's in it. But he does nothing to the story. So the ones that don't do anything to the story later, what are they? The Q just kills them off. Probably the next time you do one of these, make sure you have a script. Don't just do it on the fly. At least have an outline. I don't think this thing even had an outline. Just, we're going to do, lay this out. Just do it. It needs an outline. It needs a storyboard. Well, not a storyboard. It needs a story outline. It needs to go in a cohesive way. The captains, nobody's out of character. It's just a goofy thing. And also, you're skirting the line in the story between it being an actual political rant and it not being one about anyone particular, although it's kind of obvious who Mandrake Coddle is supposed to be. And his tech bro friends and rich fat cats and so forth. But yeah, there's no they don't say it because YouTube would immediately somehow find a way to ban it, and then the episode would never air. There were times doing this edit on this episode where I actually considered not including it and saying like, oh, this episode just has some weak parts that I just cut them out, I guess. And also, if you were going to add 8 minutes more, add them on the end, because the ending is confusing and abrupt, and you kind of have to explain, even though the Amanda, the Q, and her sister offer to take them back. Clark is not really having sex with Raxler because he's basically in another timeline now. He's taken by the Sillian ghosts. Would they even remember that other stuff as well as they went back? Yeah, so that original teaser with the going Mandrake Coddle is back was originally going to be included on the end of Vanguard Space. Decided that it shouldn't be. That Vanguard Space's trilogy should be its own thing. I'll set it for its own thing and go from there. And it's better that way. That is to it. I think we put away all the figures too. We'll get some of them out again. There's a couple of ships at the end that don't make sense being there, but that's fine. It's Q. It's magic. There's it. That 10th episode needs work. It was done around last Easter, and it isn't really, as they said, a Easter story. Not really. Nobody's. Nobody's saying it was. I don't know why the character said it was. It's more of a Q messing with people story. But I think what it's missing is a cohesive narrative thread on the end and a narrative thread in the middle, saying like, okay, we're going to go back to 2025 in the third act, and we're going to go visit now, but at their sanctuary place. It's clearly supposed to be Pine Hill or something similar. Yeah, it needs something. It does need something to polish it. I will go over the finer points of it tomorrow, and I will make more sense if I can. It'll probably be even shorter, and then when that's done, I'll go through the whole thing and see if there's any scenes that need to be needed some scene uptakes. I suppose you could do like a Silly Kelly like the Halloween special decades ago and use the existing video footage that's in it to build other video footage, and then do audio tracks that match it. But that would probably be even more. Yeah, I don't want to do that. No. Just reshoot some scenes. To have them reshoot some stuff. Yeah, it would be prudent. So you have pertinent, and prudent. You have it has some pacing issues. What is exactly Coddle's motivation? Well, he got out of the space prison or whatever. What exactly is all this stuff about the mothers and the fathers and stuff and the space aliens and the families? Is that just a gag where they're just complaining about the joke later? And the idea that those two are Dr. Crusher's daughters from 2365. Do we really need that gag in there? Because they're not. They're not really that. Is Q impressing on them somehow? That's what's going on. They're Kira action figures. That would work. Yeah. And you probably need more Rumbly in there. Probably need more of her, I think. Yeah. Need more Rumbly and the girls trying to figure things out. She does appear near the end, though, to help them figure it out. But yeah, she can't have appeared earlier, so that won't work. But yeah, polish it up and see how long it is. And a fan film can be 70 minutes. That's perfectly reasonable. But prefer them to be 90 minutes just to get up there. 86 minutes 80 minutes is doable too. It's fine. It's just shorter than the other one. It doesn't have to be It doesn't have to be a certain length. There's no commercials. Oh, yes. Those half set built pickup scene stuff. It's connected to the thing. Decided to do that 9-10 minutes of information from the story that would wrap up that actually. There are no plot holes. It's more like things are a little iffy in the story. This is the legacy story. So what I did is I made a dialogue where the characters were conversing, basically newer ones, conversing about what the other ones were doing. Some of the other ones are in it, and then going to tie up a loose end involving a older vessel. Presuming that they are trapped in 2025 as we begin the next season. So, okay. So, they give me next season. Let's see what happens. They can get the ship rebuilt. That'll be interesting. Okay. Yeah. I'm assuming that they do figure out a way to get back to their own timeline, but something's off about the timeline. That actually makes it make more sense in the story that something is amiss in the past. They gotta fix it. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. They are Sillians. They should be able to go to and fro. But, yeah. They did establish that Clark and Raxler. Clark shouldn't really be hanging out with people from another dimension. They're gone. Dead. But Q tried to fix it. Everybody else tried to fix it, and apparently the bad guy has cloned himself and is in charge. So it's not a cliffhanger because they can get home. They are Sillians. It's more of a that's fun. Kind of what are they going to do next season in Legacy? And also the opportunity to completely change bridges and stuff. Well, we'll see. I have no idea how they're going to get out of that. And it's not so weird that they couldn't just snap and get out of it. So, I didn't want to make it a cliffhanger. It's not a cliffhanger. It's they're from that era, so they're back in that era. All the other ones that were in the other eras are back where they need to be, and these guys are here where they need to be here. So. Okay, this is Calcat the Calicatster, and this is more editing of the it's a late Easter story. It's not really Easter. The Q episode, the Sillians Assemble episode. I have gone through the final edits on it. At this point, that's another run through. I've fixed all of as much as I can fix. It is kind of messy. I think it's going to work now as a story, so that's fine. That's cool. I think the idea of them doing the there's a ship scene at the end where they're all going to leave with the ships, and they're going to go, and then all the ships are getting ready to leave, and then they leave. Well, some of the crew got left behind in that footage shot, not last night footage, and it's 70 minutes long. It doesn't need to be 80 minutes long. We don't need another 10 minutes. I added 10 minutes to it, but you don't need it. But you do need a clarifying moment. There is kind of precedence to need something as a closure for the story. And also, it needs to have a kind of a closure. It needs something more. That crew that found the flyer at the end of the story out of context, and they're there on the planet, they're going to go meet the ship and the crew and all that. It seems to come out of nowhere, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's related back to the cues in the Rumbly and Missa, who are there. Some of the other ones. I'm not saying it has to be. I'm saying that if you want the story to work as a Star Trek story and not merely just a spoof of the Avengers, which it kind of is, as a Star Trek spoof of the Avengers, and also it's kind of a spoof of how now that Skydance owns Paramount, indirectly John Lasseter, the deposed Pixar guy, for obvious reasons, is now the animation boss at the yeah, that isn't good. That's not good. So that's kind of in there too. There's a little bit of spoof. Also, the original guy that did the Sillian stories, the original TV mogul that they spoofed to the TV planet, and they destroyed the TV planet in the Silly Trek story, was Ted Turner. I think he's gone. Yeah, it was not Trump, but it was Ted Turner. Yes, different guy, different mogul. So yeah, they conflated them together. It doesn't matter because it's a fictional story and it's a fictional character and it's not really them. It's not either of them. It isn't. But it's kind of a similar thing. I think what you need to do is you do need to add about 10 more minutes again, or maybe 6.5. And in that 10 more minutes at the end, we see a fake Sillian version of the White House, and we really break the fourth wall and have Brack Ellerat show up. So it won't even be these characters. It'll be Brack Ellerat and some of the other villains show up. And they're like, haha, yes, I'm in charge of the planet. That would make more sense. And the Cousins people who disappeared from the story completely, they're in the scene. But not these guys. These guys are with the flyer on the planet. They're elsewhere. This scene is the villains. And then they just have Q show up and get that fruity Q show up and go, "You've been a bad boy." He's like, "No." And then have Grandmaster show up. There's only one person who could possibly help the Q bad guy in this scenario after he's been banished or whatever. Shows up at the very end. It's Kyungi. She shows up. She's all fucked up and zombie-like and stuff. Shows up in the zombie land and she's all like, yeah. And she shows up and she's like, there's only one person that can save us now. And they go over to this other land, the villains, to get help after the Canary people zap them. And then they go over there. They could be 8 or 9 minutes more. Yeah, play work. And then they go over there to get Kimmy's help, but Kimmy is completely dementia. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing. And she's like, "What? No. Oh, we can't use this lady. She's done. She's well done. Do that." There's your scene. Villains, story, setup, go for it. Do that scene. That would end this, because now that I've gone over the whole thing, that would end this hilariously. And it would make it like, okay, yeah. And the other commander lady is saying that it's, in the captain's log, that it's April 2005. And the other story says this flyer thing is earlier. It's the 2nd, 2005. I guess that could be changed in post, so it's April.
End the story. Yeah, you just fix it. April. Yeah. Or maybe the other ship is time travel. Maybe the other thing is what's going on. Time travel. They could go. Where did the flyer and that other crew go? They're gone. They're gone. It doesn't matter. It's because the Q are doing stuff, space and time. Anyway, that's my 2 thoughts on it. I'm trying to make this work. Make this story work. It was a little weak. I fixed it as best I could. It's not a great entry. I think the Brazil one is a great entry. This one is a good entry. It's a good episode of the show. But doing something on the spur of the moment without a script was probably not a good idea. Turns out that a lot of it was a little goofy. The internal story is good though. The joke about the future Kestra being saying like, I'm going to defeat the Q guy, and then the Q guy going like, oh, I'll just go back into the past and mess with past Kestra, is a funny idea. That's your hook. Anyway, so it's like, and then they put it back, and they're out there. So the ships disappear. There's a precedent for this next scene, and then there's a precedent for the next scene. Yeah, you just need more of the villains. You need more of them doing their thing. So it's not a cliffhanger. It's just that, well, they're in the year they currently exist. So yeah, you have, if it was 2325, it would also be 2025, but it would also be 2402 in Silly Track. So they could literally walk from one to the other because of the anomalies. They can do that. Silly Track. It's like a game. It's like a board game with a world, realm building kind of thing. Yeah, it's always what it was. Yeah, yeah, cool. More pickups. But anyway, I'll end this. This will be the end of the making of, because you don't need to go into more pickups and what happened. This is just more pickups. Yeah. Yes, it turns out. Okay, this is behind the scenes. Finishing up the making of. 30 minutes of footage from that. To add to it was a little short, but it needed a better ending than what we were kind of hinting at there. And I gave it a better ending. I gave it a better ending, and I think everything is going to work out. And I didn't want to make it a cliffhanger, so I fixed it so the ending is not. Yeah. So we'll start that. The visuals. Weird. Yeah. So this is the making of the making of this goofy Star Trek story, and 30 minutes of footage was reshot or added to the end to give it a better ending. It kind of didn't have one. We left a bunch of stuff open. The other ending worked, but it was an hour in, so only an hour. So I fixed it up, and now it's fine. So this is the end of the making of this the special episode. And it's now all lined up. So they have Q-like powers. They're going back and forth in time and stuff like that. The end of it's me. Anyways, yeah.